When looking at three-dimensional figures and dealing with volume as opposed to area, the big thing is we're going to start with an area and then multiply it by the height of the three-dimensional figure. So identifying what our base is and then what our height is going to be the most important thing. That way we can do all the little steps necessary to be able to solve. So in this first example, or in this first picture, we've got um, our rectangular prism, okay? When we're looking at a rectangular prism, it doesn't matter what our base is. It could be down here. That's totally fine. If this is our base, then we also need to remember that we have a base up top, okay? And our height is what connects those two bases. All right, so that would be totally acceptable. Do notice though, sometimes our base isn't on the bottom. In this case, we have a triangular prism, okay, and its bases are on the front and the back, so our height would actually be over here. So we do have to be careful about, and technically on this rectangular prism, I could make my base any of these sides. It could be the left and the right side, and if that were the case, then my height would be what connects those two bases. So it really doesn't matter what you choose as long as you're choosing something that does indeed connect with its other base. So down here we have our cylinder, all right, which is a circular prism essentially. All right, so we've got a rectangular prism on top, triangular prism on the right side, and then a cylinder, which is a circular prism, I guess is another way to think about it. And the base is how we're going to name it. All right, we're also going to identify that as the base of the shape, the three-dimensional figure. And then our height is what connects our two bases, the one on top and on bottom, or on front and on back, or on side and on side. Okay, so those are our big talking points there. When we're solving, we're going to identify the area of our base. So in this case, all right, this first one, I'm going to use this bottom part as my base. So my area of my base formula is going to be length times width. So 4 times 1.2 equals 4 times 1.2 equals 4.8. And then our height in this case, if we're using these as our base, that would make this our height. So 3.7 is our height, which means to find the volume, I'm going to take the area of my base, and I use a big B there. So big B, 4.8 times my height of the three-dimensional figure, which is 3.7. So I'm going to multiply those two together, and I'm going to get 17.76 yards, and that's actually going to be cubed, okay? When we are doing volume, we're dealing with three dimensions, so we're multiplying yards 3 times. We've got yards for our length, yards for our width, and yards for our height. And so when we multiply those three together, we end up with yards cubed. Down here for the volume of our prism, okay, our base shape is going to be this triangle down here, which means this is our other base, which makes 6 our connecting piece. So that's going to be our height. So we've got 6 as our height. To find the area of my base, this is, remember, a triangle. So I'm going to use my triangle base formula, which is 1/2 10 times 5. So 10 times 5 is 50, divided by 2 equals 25. Okay, and then to find my volume, I'm going to take those two numbers and multiply them together. All right, I have 25 as the area of my base times 6, which is the height of the prism. So 25 times 6 equals 150. And this is volume. We're dealing with inches cubed. For our cylinder, okay, we have this circular base with a radius of 5 and a height of 8. Okay, so my height is going to be 8. My circular base is going to be pi r squared. My radius is 5. So this would be 25 pi, or 25 pi equals 78.5398, going on forever. I'm going to take that and multiply it by 8 to get my actual volume. So that would be, and so basically I'm taking that 78, I'm just going to talk about it as 25 pi. 25 pi times my height, which is 8, volume is going to equal 628.32. And I'll just go ahead and round to the nearest hundredth. We don't have units, so we'll go units cubed.